Hello everyone, welcome to another Apple Search Ads optimization session with Incipia. Today we'll be talking about a new campaign structure that you can roll out to your campaigns that will help you optimize for better ROAS across your search ads campaigns. This process is going to involve tiering your keywords into different campaigns based on the value that users who search those keywords bring to you as the app marketer. This video is based on a post that we'll be pushing into the tools blog pretty soon here, and I'll take a high-level overview over the concepts that make up this strategy. So first, what benefit do you get at each level of the campaign or the account hierarchy for search ads? When you split out campaigns, you get control over the budget. This allows you to optimize your budget for best expenditure. Essentially, you want to put more budget to where your budget produces higher value users or acquires higher value users, and less budget to the keywords and targets that have lower value users. At ad group, when you split out keywords into ad groups, you get control over the CPA goal, which is very useful for ensuring that you only pay a certain amount per download, as well as targeting. You can control which devices, which time of day, day of week, gender, demographic, remarketing or not at the ad group level. And so ad group is very useful, as it is in Facebook. Keywords control the bid at the keyword level, but be aware that there is an interplay between the CPA goal and the CPT bid. When the CPA goal is set, it takes more precedence over your impression share than your CPT bid. Negative keywords also exist at the campaign and ad group level. So the structure that we're recommending takes advantage of different abilities that you get at different levels of the account hierarchy. The structure that we recommend is going to be continuing to have a brand campaign where you deploy as much budget and a high bid as possible in order to acquire these high value users. You'll have an exploration campaign where you have search match and broad match keywords. The sole purpose of the exploration campaign is to identify new search terms, new variations that you don't have in your tier 1 or your tiered campaigns, and push them from your exploration campaign to the appropriate tiered campaign. The tiers is the new part of the strategy, where we're recommending that you break out keywords into campaigns based on what the lifetime value or the total, however you calculate value for keywords is. Group keywords by how much value they bring to you as an app marketer. In this case, this simple illustration, we have high value, medium value, and low value keywords. Once more, the reason to break out keywords into separate campaigns by tiers is so that you could get control over the budget. This is very useful for ensuring, again, that your budget is being spent as wisely as possible. Bringing this pyramid, this reverse pyramid that's so popular in marketing, content marketing, we have a couple concepts describing how value or bid changes as you go through this pyramid, as well as budget. Starting with the bid and the value, you're going to want to put your maximum possible bid in your brand campaign, again, so that you can get as many of these users as possible because they're high value. In the tier 1 campaign, you're going to want to figure out how much these group of users are worth on average to you so that you can bid to the appropriate level. Tier 1 keywords are going to have a higher bid, again, because these users are higher value for you, and so you're going to want to have a bid that's competitive enough to give you as much possible impression share for these users as you can get. Moving down a level to tier 2, these users are going to be grouped by medium value. They're a little less valuable than tier 1, but more valuable than tier 3. Your bid is going to be lower, therefore, than tier 1, but higher than tier 3. Tier 3 is where you're going to have a bid that's the lowest of the tiers, unless you have a tier 4 or 5, because these users are lowest value. The exploration campaign, you're actually going to want to have a bid that's on par with your tier 2 or tier 1 campaign bid. This is because the exploration campaign's purpose is to be competitive enough in order to discover new search terms that you can push into your tier 1, 2, or 3 campaigns. So you're going to want to give this exploration campaign enough leeway to compete with all the other advertisers out there and get you visibility into new search terms that you may not have. Over time, the amount of budget that's spent on the exploration campaign is going to decline as you push search terms into your tiered campaigns. But at the start, you will spend more budget in this campaign as you're building your keyword knowledge. And one comment that we've heard from clients is that the feeling is that, whoops, after a certain period of time, you will discover all the keywords that are valuable and you won't really need an exploration campaign anymore. While there is some merit to this, most keywords you'll discover, you'll want to keep an exploration campaign due to the nature of the user experience in the App Store. New apps, app names, brands make up about 60% of the total searches, according to a Tune study. So new apps are popping up every day. And if you don't keep your exploration campaign going, then it'll be a tough challenge for you to continue identifying app names that are created on a daily basis and add those to your campaigns. It's easier to just keep your exploration campaign going and just check the search term logs to make sure that you have full coverage. This is really the key part of the tiered strategy, where you're waterfalling budget downward in the pyramid. Your brand campaign is going to have as much budget as possible, so start there and then waterfall the remaining budget that you have allocable down into the tiered campaigns. Tiered 1 is going to have, you're going to want to spend as much budget as you can on tier 1. Now, it'll be a dynamic process for figuring out how much budget you can spend in tier 1. These keywords typically will have lower volumes, and so you won't be able to just assign 50% of your budget to the tier 1 keywords because they probably won't be able to spend that much. But the goal here is to spend as much as you possibly can on tier 1, and then whatever budget's remaining, you push it down to tier 2. And then whatever budget's remaining from that point, you push it to tier 3. And again, you want to make sure that you're reserving a certain percentage of your budget for exploration. The exploration campaign should not be assessed based on performance. Again, its purpose is only to help you do exploration. So you should be comfortable with whatever allocation to the exploration campaign. You should be comfortable losing that or spending it in not so efficient a manner. But your tier 3, 2, and 1 campaigns, you want to make sure that the budget is being spent wisely. So, once more, the main takeaway from this slide and from the strategy is to spend as much budget as you can on the higher priority tiers and then waterfall budget downward to the other tiers. So this is what it looks like in an actual search ads account. These numbers are illustrative, so they're not necessarily what we would use for this campaign. They just serve the purpose of showing you the differences between the tiers. So here we have the brand. We're going to spend as much budget as we can on the brand campaign because these users are the most valuable. We have the exploration campaign where the budget is restrictive. But what is not restrictive is the bid. So we have search match and broad match, and the bid is $10 for these guys. We want to give them a competitive bid so that they can go and do their job of exploration. And we'll check the search term report and pull search terms out and put them into the tiered campaigns based on the CPA TTR conversion rate. Just like prior campaign structures, you want to add search terms that exist in your tiered campaigns as negative keywords, or search terms that just perform poorly. There's no point in continuing to spend money on them if you know that they perform poorly. So, going back to the main part of the strategies, the tiered, we have tier 1 keywords, tier 2, and tier 3 keywords. Budget is going to be, we're going to try and spend as much budget as possible in tier 1, So we're illustrating this using the highest budget. Then we're going to want to spend as much budget that's left over on tier 2. So we have half the budget of tier 1. And then we're going to spend whatever budget's left over from the higher tiers on tier 3. And that's illustrated by the lowest budget here. If we go into tier 1 to see the keywords, make sure that you're using exact match keywords for this so that you're only getting traffic from a search term that you know is valuable. In this case, we've defined tier 1 or high value keywords as those with an LTV of $10 or more. So we're going to want to use a very competitive bid to get as much traffic from these keywords as possible. You can subdivide the tiers into more ad groups if you have more data. For example, we could do LTV 30 plus, LTV 20 plus, LTV 10, or 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 plus. More segmentation just means more management over the reports and the keyword structure. But it does behoove you, if you have the time and the budget being spent, to subdivide even more. If we use the CPA goal, make sure that it's competitive. The CPA goal will take precedence in deciding your impression share over the CPT bid if you decide to use it. But splitting keywords out into separate ad groups gives you control over the CPA goal. Oh, and actually giving you an illustration of what these keywords may look like. Let me return to the tier 1 keywords in a moment here. Okay. Keywords that fit into the tier 1 will typically be longer tail keywords. So in this case, we've illustrated this by saying task list app, to-do list app. By adding app into the keyword, generally this is going to mean that the user has a more formed and more intentional desire to download an app that helps them manage to-do lists. And you'll see how the keywords evolve through the tiers. Returning to the overview, let's take a look at tier 2. This is where the second waterfall, or the second step in the waterfall budget is. And not only will budget get waterfall down, the bid will decrease for these keywords as well because they're less valuable to us. Again, we can subdivide this $5 to $10 into $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10. It just requires more management, and this is for illustrative purposes to lump them together. So instead of $15, we're going to have a $10 bid. Really, you should make sure that you're spending your bid and how much you're paying to acquire a user is equal to your value per user. So your LTV equals your customer acquisition cost. There will be, in PPC, or digital marketing in general, your bid is going to be your ceiling price. So there will be some playing around with your bid to figure out how much you should bid to get maximum traffic while not going over your customer acquisition cost. But let's take a look at the keywords to see what they look like. So before we had to-do list app, task list app, and now we have a shorter tail keyword. So task list. The intent here may be a little lower than having the app in there or more words in this keyword. And so this is something that you may see when you're splitting out your keywords. Assess the campaign or the tier that keywords fit into once more by looking at your CPA, your downstream performance. So you look in your MMP and say, when we acquire users who search task list, how much revenue do they spend on average? Figure out what the average revenue per user is, and then you can figure out which tier they belong in. So going back to the overview, now we have tier 3. This is the lowest priority of the structure, and this is where the budget's going to be the lowest and the bid is going to be the lowest. So here we've defined tier 3 keywords as LTV between $3 and $5. Now you notice that there's a floor price here where we don't have a tier for keywords that are under $3. This is because for your app, you will eventually see a shakeout of a general customer acquisition cost, where it will be difficult to acquire users below this cost. So there will be a lot of keywords, or there'll be some keywords at least, that you can acquire for a good price, but the value of these users is not going to make it worth it to pay for these users. And when you try to reduce the bid, you'll find that your scale will go down to near zero or zero. So under your general customer acquisition cost, any keywords that their ARPU, the value of these users, is not high enough to justify that, you'll just want to turn off. You can explore back for them. You can turn them on again from time to time and see if you can get the customer acquisition cost to equate to the LTV. But generally, there will be some keywords that are just not worth it for you to advertise for. So that's why we have a floor on the LTV range of the tier 3. So that's it. We look forward to your comments in the YouTube channel. Please feel free to send us an email to hello@incipia.co with questions or comments. If you'd like to work with us, send us an email to projects@incipia.co. We are taking new search ads clients. We do have minimums in managing clients, but happy to chat and see what your project needs are. Keep an eye out for new videos, for new posts. We've been a bit delayed in getting posts and videos out there, so we're trying to get back on the circuit now that spring is in the air and everything is going fine. But thank you so much for watching. We'll look forward to your comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and like our videos so we can get the word out there about campaign structures and other optimization tips such as this. Also, if you have a suggestion on a different campaign structure, or if you think that this structure is total bull, that's okay. We like diversity of opinion. So please feel free to send an email or comment, and we'd love to discuss your thoughts as well.